Welcome back to The Hood Nurse, where we bridging the gap between the hood and the hospital. It's your boy Mad Hatter here, yo. Hey, keep it out. For this episode, I got the opportunity to sit down with Jasmine Calhoun. She a respiratory therapist up at the hospital where I work at. Hopefully, she could hook y'all up with some good information, you know what I'm saying, to put y'all down with what she do as a respiratory therapist. Y'all keep it locked. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Mad Hatter, the Hood Nurse. I'm up here chilling at the hospital, you know what I'm saying, with a coworker, a really cool person, you know what I'm saying, that I've actually got to know over the past couple years, I think, you know what I'm saying? It's been a little while. She's a respiratory therapist, you know what I'm saying, so I wanted to hop in here, get a quick story from her, you know what I'm saying, see how she got to be a respiratory therapist and, you know what I'm saying, dig into her life a little bit, not too much. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get too personal and nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? But we want to see how she got to where she's at so we can help guide y'all to see if you want to get to where she's at, you know what I'm saying? Or if that's one of the options that y'all want to choose. So, Jasmine, hello.
Hi.
Thank you for sitting down with your boy, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
So, won't you just go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself? Go ahead and just like, you know what I'm saying? Dump just a little bit of information on the people and let them know who you are.
My name is Jasmine Calhoun. I've been a respiratory therapist for 15 years, actually, and I'm 38 years old.
Okay.
So I decided quite young that I wanted to go into the medical field because my grandmother was a nurse. And she was an LVN, but she was like a retired nurse. And then she would I think she would feel like kind of burn out at work, and so I would hear her talking about her back hurt and all that stuff.
Right.
So I just thought, I would like to get into the medical field, but what else could I do that didn't seem like it would be hard? I thought it'd be easier on my body, but that's another story. But I just thought, what else could I do? I like helping people, and so I started researching different things when I was in high school, actually.
Okay.
And then I found out about respiratory, and so I decided to go to respiratory school right out of high school, pretty much. It took me a while to finish. So with respiratory, you have to at least have your associate's degree.
Okay.
And it's the same pretty much prereqs as nursing.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So you take your prerequisites, which are your, you have to take a few general ed, your history, algebra, college algebra, and then the same thing, microbiology, anatomy, biology, chemistry.
Okay.
And then so I've been ever since I was like 23 years old, pretty much.
That's
been a respiratory therapist.
That's official.
So some people think of a respiratory therapist as like breathing exercises,
Right.
but it's not like breathing exercises.
Go ahead and break it down for them. Go ahead and break it down for them.
It's more on the medical end part.
Right.
So basically, when the patient needs us, it's usually they're having acute respiratory distress, meaning something immediately. They're having a really hard time breathing. And they usually call us. It's kind of we're kind of like the superheroes. They don't need us unless something's going real bad.
Wrong.
Yeah. So, we give medication. We draw. We draw blood. We work under a lung specialist, and they're the ones who put in our orders, and sometimes we can put in orders as well.
Okay.
But depends on what hospital you work in. Usually we're a pretty, I think, integral part of
Absolutely.
the medical group here. Everybody has their different jobs and stuff, and we all work together pretty well. So,
what is your favorite part about being a respiratory therapist?
Wow, that's a good question. Okay, so my favorite part about it is helping people, and when you actually see them get better.
Right.
That part about it. Because recently I just got trained with babies, and then right now that's kind of my passion right now in respiratory.
Okay.
So with the babies, sometimes we do see very tragic cases where the babies don't make it, but for the most part, when you're helping the babies, usually work with premature babies a lot.
Okay.
And so their main thing is respiratory. That's, you know, a big issue with them. So, because their lungs are underdeveloped. So, but when you see them grow and they actually get bigger, it just makes you feel so good. Like, and then oftentimes they come back when they get older and they come visit. And then you see, look at what this, you know, this baby got better.
For sure.
And they're so innocent, and you just, I mean, you know, you're saving their life, and then, you know, you never know what they may do in the future.
Right.
You know, and they might be the president of the United States.
Hey now.
So it just is a good feeling when you can see people get better and you see the future, like the future fruits of your labor. Yeah.
Right.
So to say.
Okay.
So.
I love that. That's dope. That's dope. Okay, so the next question is, you know what I'm saying? Being a respiratory therapist of color, how many other respiratory therapists do you work around that are of color?
So, like in general, it's not as many. It's not that much. Like here in Portland, at this particular hospital that I'm working at, I was, for a while, I was the only person of color in my whole respiratory department.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's a problem, people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to change, you know what I'm saying? So, okay.
Yeah.
And for how long did that last?
I would say it was like for the first like 6 to 9 months I was here. And then they started hiring, now they hired like about 3 to 4 more people since then of color.
Okay.
Like right after I got hired, they hired one other person, and then it was just me and him for a while.
Right.
Yeah, and then up until like, I would say the last year, they hired like a couple of more, a few more.
So what are the challenges that you face being a respiratory therapist of color?
I just feel like people kind of often, they have like this stereotype of blacks in their head, and so here in the hospital, not to say that anybody's job is lower than another, but oftentimes they ask me if I'm going to school, and I'm like, well, I already went to school. So they often assume, you know, you're not as educated.
Right.
They sometimes I get looks of like surprises on their face when I come in the room, like they're shocked to see you.
Right.
I've had sometimes people make comments like, you know, I'll just be having a conversation about family, and they'll say something like, oh, I'm surprised, you know, or I've had a person tell me that they were surprised that I knew who my father was.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've had somebody actually tell
me
that. And so there's a lot of, you know, you do run into a lot of negative stereotypes, and it's kind of projected, you know, when you're caring for people, and oftentimes it's like you feel like you kind of have to like disprove the stereotype. You know, and sometimes people will make comments and just all sorts of things. Like,
so what do you do to combat that, then? What is your formula, you know what I'm saying, for getting around having to deal with the atrocities of racism in the medical field?
I just try to I try to remain professional, you know, and I kind of choose my battles. You know, so if it's like an older person, like 80s and their 90s, you know, a lot of times they grew up different, you know, than, you know, somebody like I was born in the early 80s and 80s, 90s, so somebody was born in like the 20s or 30s, like, you know, so I kind of like let some things roll off my back, depending on, you know, how severe it is, but.
What type of equipment are you using on people to help them breathe? Okay,
so like when somebody's they are in critical condition, like, you know, the sickest they're gonna get is usually it's called a mechanical ventilator, which in other words, people refer to that as a respirator, but it's actually called a mechanical ventilator. So basically, we are controlling how fast you breathe, how much oxygen you're getting when you breathe, when you're hooked up to this machine. We're dialing in everything, like your whole respiratory cycle. you know, it's kind of, I mean, I can go in deeper, but basically we're controlling everything. How you're breathing, how fast you breathe, how much oxygen, the pressures that we're giving you in your lungs to kind of help open up your lungs and everything, depending on what condition the patient has. But basically we're controlling like your respiratory system.
Okay. All right.
Also, we have something called heated high flow.
Yeah.
Like it's
Explain that just a little bit.
Okay, so we have another form of respiratory support called heated high flow. So usually it's given with a nasal cannula, which is it's like a tubing that goes in your nose, like typical what you see like even on commercials,
right.
Or not commercials, but like
ER. You know what I'm saying, Grey's Anatomy.
So it goes in your nose, but it's like typically it's a smaller tubing. This one has a bigger tubing that goes. The tubes are larger that go in your nose, and it gives you like 3-4 times more of the support as you regularly would get. And it's kind of like another form of support before we have to put you on
the mechanical ventilator.
Yes, exactly. So there's just a lot of things like people, I mean, respiratory, I guess it's more known now, but it wasn't maybe like 10, 15 years ago. So there's a lot of different things we do. Like, you know, we give medication like, you know, that asthmatics would get like with like inhalers, but a different form where it's a larger dose.
All right. What would be your piece of advice for somebody who is seeking out being a respiratory therapist? What would be, you know what I'm saying, as far as like going to school, like getting signed up to get in school? What would be your piece of advice, you know what I'm saying, that for somebody out there who desires to be a respiratory therapist?
I would say the field, I mean, it's very important, but the field's changing a lot. So I would say, I would say use it as a stepping stone.
Okay.
You know, to kind of go into other fields. Don't just stop at respiratory, unless you just are very passionate about it and you find you love it. But I would say it's the same thing. You have to, once you get into respiratory, you want to be real focused because the program is it's pretty intense.
Oh, I know, that's right.
Yeah. So, and then, I mean, if you're the type of person who likes science and like you want to help people, but you don't want quite the responsibility as a nurse, I think it's a good field to go into. Okay. The pay's good. I mean, depends on where you work, but I mean, you can start high 20s all the way. You can start out mid 30s per hour and goes up.
Holla.
You know, so.
Okay, so outside of being a respiratory therapist, you know what I'm saying, what do you like to get into? What do you do for fun?
Well, I'm like kind of a foodie.
Okay.
So I like to and I like brunch. So Portland's known for all their brunch spots. Mad crazy good food here. Right. So that's what I do. Explore. I go out to brunch, and then a lot of times I go by myself. I know that sounds kind of strange to some people.
Nah.
But it's like something I can do if I'm on my own, and then I just, take a book or something or my phone and just kind of chill. It's like my meditation or whatever time to myself. And I like to travel too. I've been out of the country a couple of times. I've been to Paris, France. I've been to Greece.
And being a respiratory therapist has helped you or allowed you to do that?
It has. I'm also a homeowner.
Okay. See?
So I bought my first house in about 5 years.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So, and actually it was in California. So I still have the house, but I'm renting it out.
Okay.
So.
That's dope, Queen.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
So I was able to buy a house by myself. So.
Look. It's out there for you. All you got to do is go get it. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Word. That's dope.
Yep.
That's dope. Well, my peoples, you know what I'm saying? It's a quick little interview with the homegirl Jazz, you know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out what's going down with the respiratory therapy and all that. Give y'all a few little tips and information, everything about what goes on in the hospital with respiratory therapists. And You know, they work closely with nurses. They work closely with pulmonologists, you know what I'm saying, which are lung doctors. And they actually do a whole lot of helping around here, you know what I'm saying, getting people back to where they need to be as far as their lungs go, you know what I'm saying? So if that's something that you desire to do, take a look at that, you know what I'm saying? Give the homegirl Jazz a look up, you know what I'm saying, on the IG or something, you know what I'm saying? Maybe she'll be kind enough to give you her info, you know what I'm saying, later on. You know what I'm saying? I'll put that up on the screen for y'all to see. But thank y'all for tuning in to the Hood Nurse. It's the homegirl Jazz right here.
Nice
It's your boy
to meet you
Mad
guys.
Hatter, and I'll holler at y'all in a bit.